Hitting wasn't the problem. They did manage 31 hits in 3 games in St. Louis, albeit in 35 innings. No, hitting wasn't the problem. Scoring was the problem. Maybe some home cooking will get more runners home. Sometimes, even when you hit, you don't score. But if you don't hit, scoring is out of the question.
Home sweet home. PNC Park, the place to be for the next 6 games as the Pirates begin a homestand. We might call it the payback homestand. 3 with the Cincinnati Reds and then 3 with the St. Louis Cardinals. The Reds swept the Pirates to open this season, and you know what happened in St. Louis over the weekend. The Pirates 3 heartbreaking walk-off losses at the hands of the St. Louis Cardinals. Steve, it is great to see you.
Well, it's good to have you guys back home. You know, it was an interesting road trip. You sweep the Arizona ball club going in, and then we stopped scoring any runs. But, you know, in the big picture, 3 or 4 base hits at a critical time, this road trip could have looked a lot different, but you hate to waste that really good pitching.
Steve, one guy that has been hitting lately, we saw a lot of him on the road trip. He had a big game-tying home run the other day. Jung Ho Kang, 7 RBIs in his last 4 starts. He's in the lineup again tonight.
Well, he certainly took advantage of the opportunity, and he killed the ball in Chicago, a 3-hit game, and then a big home run against the Cardinals. So he continues to be that person of interest to see what he is going to do, and he got the opportunity. He has made the most of it to this point.
Jung Ho Kang in the lineup today at third base, and on the mound tonight for the Pirates is Jeff Locke.
Yeah, he's had 4 starts so far this year, 2 really good, 2 struggles against the Cubs. Against the Reds, 7 career starts, 6 of them have been very good. And I would think that he's going to have a little advantage against that Cincinnati running game. Left-hander, he can keep a closer look at them at first base.
Talking about a guy that likes pitching here in this ballpark. Well, since June of last year, the Pirates have gone 10-1 in Jeff Locke's starts here at PNC Park. It is great to be home. The first of a 3-game series against the Redlegs. We'll get it going in just a moment from PNC Park.
Ball on Root Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota helps you get the most out of your drive. Just ask a friend who drives one. Toyota, let's go places. By Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks.
Pirates just now taking the field. It's a pop night here at the ballpark as the Pirates and Reds meet for the first time here. The Pirates opened up the 2015 schedule in Cincinnati, and the Reds swept that opening series. So as we said, this is really time for payback for the Bucks as Jung Ho Kang starts at third base. Josh Harrison gets a second day off. As the Pirates had the off day yesterday. We checked out the Honda starting lineup. Billy Hamilton this season 4 out of 12 with 6 steals and 6 attempts against the Pirates. Marlon Byrd is next, then Joey Votto and Todd Frazier. Brandon Phillips bats fifth. Jay Bruce, Christopher Negron, Brian Pena, the switch hitting catcher, and Michael Lorenzen, the rookie pitcher.
And Jeff Locke making start number 5 on the season. So far, 2 good ones, 2 starts not so good. Starting pitching numbers brought to you by Hyundai. He has pitched very well in 7 starts against Cincinnati. 1 bad one, but 6 out of 7. You can run that kind of percentage along, and you're going to be successful.
And the Honda defense behind Jeff Locke, Andrew McCutchen in center, Gregory Polanco in right, Starling Marte is in left. On the corners, it's Alvarez and Kang, Mercer and Walker up the middle, and Francisco Cervelli is the catcher tonight.
And you talk right away about the Cincinnati running game. Now, Jeff Locke is a left-hander. It should help him to be looking over there at first base, but they are running all over the place. How about this? 30 attempts, 29 successful. Of course, they're led by Billy Hamilton. So how do you start to work against that? Well, you want to keep Billy Hamilton off the base paths. Stop, thief. Yeah, they're running all over the place. And we've got to score more runs than hits. We've got a lot of action on the base pass. We've had a lot of base runners, and that's where offense starts. But they got to come at the right time. So turn those opportunities into runs, and you're going to see this Pirate team win on a more consistent basis.
Steve Rivers Casino tips to win. And here's the man to keep off the bases right away, Billy Hamilton. He is a better hitter from this side of the plate. Overall, 204 average. Corners have to play in, of course. And right away shows bunt and takes a strike underway.
You know, you look at this Cincinnati team, and you know, you got players, quality players all over the place, but the 2 names that jump out to me when you play the Reds, Billy Hamilton and Aroldis Chapman.
And that'll take care of Billy Hamilton.
Good.
Easy play for Pedro Alvarez. Tries to push it up past the pitcher.
And he would have had to place that perfectly because Alvarez was up too. So he had a narrow channel to hit to bunt to, push the ball.
Now Marlon Byrd. Byrd hitting 181. Lashes this one foul and out of play. A well-traveled veteran Marlon Byrd, who spent part of the 2013 season with the Pirates, was back in a Philly uniform last year. Last 9 appearances hitting at a 290 pace. Reds spent yesterday here in Pittsburgh after playing a 4-game series in Atlanta, and they split those 4 games. Hit hard. Diving stop by Walker. He is out. What a play. What a play by Neil Walker.
That was outstanding, and they're not going to argue it, or everybody's kind of hanging around.
Marlon Byrd is hanging. Take another look at this spectacular play.
That's full body commitment, down on his belly, going the other way from first base, and makes it happen.
Oh, a nice job by Alvarez.
That's good
on the stretch.
Both parts of that play. Part A, part B.
That overshift, how strange that must be for Walker to be playing essentially on the left side of the infield, diving like a shortstop, and then Alvarez the good stretch. 2 outs.
2 circles right away. Shortstop, first base.
Joey Votto facing Jeff Locke, who's making his 5th start this season. As we mentioned earlier, since June of last year, the Pirates have gone 10-1 in his starts here at PNC Park.
Yep, we got him away from the Cubs too. Both of his struggling starts against the Cubbies.
The other way, and they had him played perfectly. Look at that. Marte didn't have to move. But what a nice top of the 1st inning for the Bucks. In the top half of this 1st inning, we check out the Pirates' Toyota starting lineup. Gregory Polanco will be stepping in momentarily. He'll be followed by Francisco Cervelli hitting the 2 spot. Andrew McCutchen, customary 3rd hole. Neil Walker, Starling Marte, and Pedro Alvarez, Jung Ho Gong, Jordy Mercer, Jeff Locke against the rookie Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah, 23-year-old Michael Lorenzen. Just his 3rd year of professional baseball. Got knocked around by the Brewers. Gave up 3 home runs in his initial start. So maybe he could help the Pirates get out of the offensive funk. Standard package of pitches. Fastball, curve, slider, change.
And a late swing and a miss at the fastball at 94 miles per hour. And 0-2 out in front of Gregory Polanco. 5 hits in his last 14 at bats, and a little 4-game hitting streak going for Polanco. Roller right side, backhand pick, nicely done. He's one of the best over there, Joey Votto.
Clean work. Looked initially like that ball might get through wide of Votto, but real clean rip.
Gold Glover, former MVP, Joey Votto having a solid first month plus to the season. Lorenzen made the start when Homer Bailey was placed on the disabled list. He is going to undergo Tommy John surgery. Bailey done for the year. Cervelli comes up empty. Brian Price, second-year manager and former pitching coach here in Cincinnati and in Arizona. Steve, you start to see the rigors the trials and tribulations of being a manager in Major League Baseball. When you see a guy like Brian Price, who, you know, by all accounts from anybody you talk to, is a solid guy, but had that blow up that got national attention a couple of weeks ago, and it hits everybody, doesn't it?
It's a stress test. Yeah. It really is. You got so many things going on in your mind, and sometimes it just isn't going the way you want it to go, or somebody hits the wrong button, and off you go. And you know, this day and age, there's no hiding from the microphones and the cameras. I mean, that's just the world we live in. And you're exactly right. He's been kind of an exemplary guy. Even during the tirade, there was no screaming and hollering. It was just an ongoing
obscenity laced. Even though it wasn't, he didn't yell like you said. He was very matter of fact about it.
Matter of fact, and he hit the button 77 times.
Not happy with what a member of the media had disclosed regarding player availability. And Brian Price's argument was, and I think it still is, I don't think he apologized for saying what he said. He did apologize for the wording, the obscenities, but not for being angry at the Cincinnati media. And a long run and a diving try and a foul ball. Excellent effort by Jay Bruce.
In this day and age in sports, as you're going to get a look at this effort by Jay Bruce, it's amazing. Football, basketball, hockey, baseball, how closely guarded the conditions and personnel, who's available, who's not, who's in the ballpark, who's not. And every one of those major league sports feels like it's going to be a huge advantage to the opposition if they know the slightest thing about personnel. And that's just, again, the world.
Somebody asked him about, like, Devin Mesoraco. It was a Sunday night game, I think, against the Cubs, and why wasn't Mesoraco available and where was he? And Brian Price didn't like that. There is Mesoraco, who's had hip issues. Roller and the backhand play made by Negron. Nicely done there. Well, these two clubs playing some solid defense to the first 5 batters.
In fact, they asked him why Mesoraco was not used as a pinch hitter, and he never did say he wasn't in the ballpark. He just said, "What, we're going to use?" No. So, I mean, it's amazing how closely they want to protect that thing, and how much they think the opposition will have a big advantage.
His question, he kept going back to, how does that help the Reds?
By the opposition knowing.
Yeah. Well, now McCutchen. And a bouncer left side. There's Negron. And nice little play there on the other end by Votto. Both teams to a strong defensive start. 0-0.
Stan, I'm Robbie. It's Mikowski. Tonight is Twitter Tuesday here at Root Sports, and our guest is pitcher A.J. Burnett. He was asked by Ross, if Jeff Locke weren't your Robin, who would it be?
Oh, man, I got to go with Cole, man, just to see what Jeff would say if he hears this. So I'm going to go with Cole.
All right, so that's a pretty simple one. Garrett Cole will be his Robin if it weren't Jeff Locke, and obviously no Jeff Locke around him. So that can only mean one thing, Greg and Steve, that he's on the mound right now pitching.
Yeah, it's, coincidentally, Rob, we're going to talk to Garrett Cole.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him that.
The third inning.
How he reacts to that.
How would you like to be Robin?
I'd like to be Robin Hood, maybe.
Foul tip by Frazier.
So we'll keep an eye on Jeff Locke tonight and see if he goes to his signature patterns. Some fastballs inside the right-hand batters, setting up a fading kind of a changeup. We'll see how much of that we see tonight.
Frazier hits one hard to right center field. And Todd Frazier has homered to give the Reds a 1-0 lead. National League leading 9 home runs for Todd Frazier.
Out there in that carrying acreage part of the ballpark, it just kept on going. Not much wind helping really out there. Todd Frazier has not been particularly hot in terms of batting average, but in home runs he takes that high outside pitch and hits it where you can hit it best. Right center field, up and away, gets a chance to extend the arms that quickly. 1-0.
Leads the National League now with 9. Came in tied with Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers. It's the first allowed by Jeff Locke, and the Pirates had that string of 10 straight games and 94 1/3 innings without giving up a home run before they gave one up on Sunday afternoon in St. Louis in the 4th inning. And a look at the National League leaders. Brandon Phillips, a 1-1 count. That's 15 career home runs for Frazier against the Pirates, the most he's had against any club.
Here's the changeup, and that really is a go zone for right-hand batters against a guy like Jeff Locke. He can't get that fastball upstairs like that. It's just not fast enough. They have time. You know, they might be behind it a little bit. They can catch up to it, and that's upstairs, out away.
A 1-2 pitch through the right side of the infield. Big hole there, and Phillips has the base hit to right. Todd Frazier, who had 29 home runs last year, off to a great start this season. Now with 9 to lead the senior circuit. He's a few behind the major league leader. Mr. Cruz he hit one last night. 13 now. All fouled off. 14 for Nelson Cruz. 14 home runs for the Mariners. Nelson Cruz.
Home run candidate here is Jeff Locke. Wanted to get that ball a little further inside. Cervelli was setting up in there, and again missing out over the plate. You want to miss the other way, and he sets up inside again.
Broken bat, base hit into right. First and second, nobody out.
Got himself a broken bat out of it. See Cervelli in there, and good location. Just strong enough, even though he breaks the bat, to lift it over the infield.
Two on, nobody out, and Christopher Negron at the plate. Ray Searage's starters coming into this game, the previous 4 games, had given up a total of 2 runs in 26 innings for an 0.69 ERA.
You know, Greg, Jeff Locke, a left-hand pitcher, he's watching the man at first base, but don't forget about Brandon Phillips at second base. They're running everybody from everywhere, so just can't get careless.
Negron showing bunt, ball 1. Zach Cozart, bruised finger. So Negron, he can start just about anywhere.
Kind of blew up his finger, didn't he?
Yep.
Blood all over the place. No broken bones. No x-rays not showing anything other than a lot of blood.
Negron 1 for 23 since being called up. He's done his fair share of damage against the Pirates going back to last season. 9 for 24. It's a .375 mark as Locke steps off the rubber. Again, showing Button a strike.
I don't know. You know, I've never managed, but I'm not a big fan of this because he would represent the first out. You got the number 8 guy could represent the second one, and then you got the pitcher up there. So
I guess the only thing I understand, I agree with you, Steve, but on the other hand, like the Pirates, they are really struggling to score runs. Pena, not a bad hitting catcher, and the pitcher did a lot of work in college at the plate. He certainly doesn't want Negron hitting into a double play, but it wasn't showing bunt there. 2-1. That's always the question you have when you're struggling offense. Do you try and
play big innings or scratch a run?
Right.
Yep. You want to talk things over.
Locke had 2 starts last season against Cincinnati and pitched well in both.
He has done good work against his team.
1 start here, 1 start in Cincinnati.
Isn't it amazing, though? The first inning, good plays, but 1, 2, 3, and gone. And now home run, single. And you never know. People say, well, does a home run get you back on your heels as a starting pitcher? It shouldn't.
Off-speed pitch there, 2-2.
Jeff has that ability to have that good arm action, not give it away. And not only good off-speed pitch itself, but a great location. There's that pattern we're talking about, the changeup outside, the fastball inside.
Well, now the 3-2 pitch. We've talked a lot about this over the past few days, that some people say that the 3-2 pitch no longer represents automatic fastball.
That's correct, and that's the truth. So what do you go with? You go to your best pitch or a pitch you think you can fool him with?
Out off the fastball. How much confidence does Locke and Cervelli have in throwing a change up here after going with a fastball on that 3-2 pitch?
Or a curveball, knowing that your fastball is probably the pitch they're going to be looking at, but it's not an overpowering fastball. Upstairs?
It was off speed.
Maybe a little decoy by Cervelli trying to catch the batter's eye. Cervelli does move around a lot and back, and I always get a twitch as an old pitcher if the guy's peeking a little bit. And of course, I've seen catchers decoy too. They'll move around, then come back to where they really want to be. Going through the signs, different signs of the man on second. Still flashing upstairs.
Oh boy, he walked him, and they're loaded. Fastball missed.
And you're still looking for the first out of the inning.
And when you are a team like the Pirates, like the Reds, struggling to score runs,
and not just struggling to score runs, play catch-up baseball. You can't, when you're struggling offensively, you can't let people very far out of the barn.
Now the infield will play for 2 with Brian Pena, the switch-hitting veteran catcher.
Well, you got a candidate, a catcher running, double play candidate. If you get that, you got the pitcher in the on-deck circle. You could get out of this thing.
I really hate to see Locke walk a guy like Negron. 1 hit and 23 at bats this season. Frazier hit the home run. Phillips hit the ground ball through that right side. Bruce a broken bat single. And you wonder, do you get a little skittish?
Sure you do. It's a tough little stretch for the Pirates right now.
fallen behind Brian Pena, 2-0. Well, Phillips, the base hit, is now at third. Bruce, the broken bat, hit at second, and Negron walked on that 3-2 pitch.
So since the home run, he hasn't been beat up, but
he hasn't thrown strikes.
He's looking right down the barrel.
Bounced over the middle, sliding stop by Walker. What a play! And they turn that into a double play. Impossible.
That did not happen. That didn't happen. I thought when it got past Locke, nothing was going to happen good for the Pirates.
That's one of the best double plays they have ever turned. Walker and Mercer.
Check this thing out. The slide, the flip,
what
an awkward catch, a spin around, and then throws back across his body. We had the catcher running to set the stage,
that's unbelievable.
But that's ballerina stuff.
That is unbelievable. Truly sensational double play turned by Walker and Mercer.
Choreograph. Oh yeah, we want to look at this a lot. Over the head of Jeff Locke. Looks like it's going into center field. I mean,
man, the footwork.
The pivot is like a pirouette.
Now, of course, the key is, with that behind you, thanks to Walker and Mercer, turning it into 2. It is 2-0, but you have to get the pitcher now.
Yep. Leather night. Here's how it starts. The feed on the shortstop side, so Jordy has to reach back toward his position and then completely spin around. You know, I'd make that play and give up 2 runs.
Yeah.
All I had to do is give up 1.
Well, Jeff Locke has his middle infielders to thank.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Malibu and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Our Day Automotive this day in Pirates history. This day, 1987. Pirates outslugged the Padres 10-8. Rafael Belliard, Danny Van Slyke, R.J. Reynolds, Barry Bonds hit home runs. For Belliard, his first career homer. He'd hit just 1 more in his 17-year career. Bob Walk got the win in relief. The only Pirates pitcher not to give up a run on that day, this day, in Pirates history on Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Frazier celebrated with a home run. And now it is Neil Walker. Walker did not start on Sunday, so he gets one of those back-to-back days like Josh Harrison is getting now, since the team had the day off yesterday.
Well, you can tell he's already had a very, very busy night. Neil. That used to be the mark of being in a slump. Just get your uniform real dirty so they think you're really, really working hard.
Was this a strike? No. Ted Barrett gives the call to Lorenzen. And a line drive to left that's going to carry out to Bird.
Did you bring the Dos Equis with you?
They're in the back for the end of the game. Check out the umpiring crew. Ted Barrett is the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes. Chris Conroy is at first base. Angel Hernandez at second, and Scott Berry at third. Second big league start for Michael Lorenzen tonight. Starling Marte in 258. Lorenzen, as Steve mentioned, 23 years old, native of Anaheim, California, 6'3", 203 pounds. He was the 38th overall pick in 2013 out of Cal State Fullerton. Hit hard the other way by Marte. Doesn't have enough left. Yes, clear the deck. Cannonball coming to tie it. Make it a 2-1 game. And the 7th home run for Starling Marte. An opposite field home run.
The only question was height.
Number 6, Starling Marte.
So maybe it's one of those nights where you can catch up with the ball, hit it over the fence a little bit to clear the air out of this offensive slump that the Pirates are in. It's a souvenir. And number 4 given up by Lorenzen, so he is getting an introduction. The Brewers hit 3. Maybe that's the route we have to go.
Line drive, opposite field home run, 2-1. Bucks down a run, and now Alvarez.
Pretty good looking pitch, a very good looking pitch, and he just went out and got. That's the kind of stuff that left-hand hitters usually do. Go down and get under the ball and kind of golf it out. That's how strong he is. Distance and lift. This is a bullet.
So 5 seconds maybe.
Yeah, so many times we see guys hit line drives and they just pepper against that chain link fence. He's strong enough to get it over top. That's a lot of strength.
He's got the Marte homer. Oh, look out. Wow, that thing, you know, Gung did this the other day in St. Louis, and I mean, it's not one of those tosses that sail high in the air, maybe have a chance to get away. He lines this ball into the seats.
Good height, good distance.
Man. Oh, and 1.
I'm still fascinated by the leg lift, because I always thought that had to be just exactly perfect timing, because you can be hovering up there if he pulls a string and throws a changeup.
Well, there are some guys that have high leg kicks. Matt Holliday, we just saw him in St. Louis, but you're right, the timing of it. This one, his kick is early.
Yeah. And if you're up there like that, I had a teammate,
Vic Davalillo.
Vic, Fergie Jenkins threw him a changeup, and it was just too much time. He fell right back. The catcher had him. Nobody knew where the baseball was. And you don't want to pay $20 to see a major league catcher holding on to a Venezuelan outfielder that had been overserved the night before.
3-2. On his first home run in the States the other day. The middle, but the shortstop Negron throws him out. Starling Marte gets the Pirates on the board to cut the lead to 2-1. We'll talk to Garrett Cole next. Month for April. See the statistics: 176 ERA, 4 wins. Opponents OPS, strikeout, the whip. Great numbers for the National League Pitcher of the Month for April, and it's Garrett Cole, and he joins us now. Thanks, Garrett, for being with us. This nice little honor for you, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
You like that Player of the Month?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a nice honor. It's one of those things that, you know, you just kind of take in stride.
Garrett, the Reds come in here. They're running all over the place. Are you satisfied at this point with your work against base stealers?
I think it could be a little better. I think we made a little bit of an adjustment in St. Louis, and it played well for us. We kind of got ran on in Chicago a little bit, so we look to clean some of those things up, and you know, we're always trying to get better.
Congratulations again from up here. You're 8-0. Does that get on your mind? Are you able to separate that and get rid of it when you get ready to make another start, when you got this little roll going on?
I mean, I don't look into it too much. I try to just take it one start at a time. But it's a nice little run, and you know, enjoy it while it's happening, because we all know it can go away real quick.
I've been seeing some high fastballs a little more recently than I've seen before. Is that becoming kind of not a signature, but another weapon? Not trying to keep the ball down every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm able to kind of pick my spots to go upstairs. I've been able to throw some upstairs and be able to get back down when I need to, and not have any of the other pitches suffer any lack of quality by going upstairs, changing my delivery, anything like that. So, you know, I've been able to pick my spots better.
Does that take you back to days when you're growing up and you just blew everybody away in Little League and high school and all that kind of stuff? Good memories?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to get them upstairs. But, you know, our mentality is 3 pitches or less, and it's been working for really all 5 of us so far. So, you know, we're going to keep with that mentality.
As a power kind of a guy, are you happy at this point in your career and this season with the separation of speeds between your hard stuff and your soft stuff?
Yeah, it's becoming easier for me to create bigger differentials and keep the same arm speed. It's just kind of about getting more comfortable out there.
And we're going to see what Jeff Locke does here after the base hit, now facing Marlon Byrd. Garrett, when the offense goes through stretches where it's struggling to score runs, you guys really don't change your mentality, you starters, do you?
Yeah, you can't. You know, as much as a team game as this is, it's got a lot of individual components to it. And, you know, if everybody goes out and takes care of their business, we'll be in a good spot. There's a little bit of strategy in terms of possibly trying to limit runs or you know, pitching with a lead. But as far as it's concerned, it's not something that dictates how we go about our business. So,
kind of a trap, I would think, to try to be absolutely perfect because you're not getting much help.
A little bit so, and you know, it's important to take into consideration how early we are in the season. It's not uncommon for bats to start coming alive in May when the weather starts heating up and guys have seen more reps and seen more pitches. So you know, we anticipate it coming around, you know, quickly here. It's not going to be easy, but you know, if we just stay on our grind, we'll be all right.
How much, Garrett, the night before you pitched, do you watch the Pirates starting pitching work? And is it tough because he's left-hander?
Marte goes back. Marlon Byrd to the deepest part of the yard, a 2-run homer. His fourth. 4-1 Cincinnati.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just caught my attention. I probably would have been proud to throw that one. That was over the notch.
So, Garrett, do you feel like you're currently going through the best stretch? You're still awfully young in your big league career, but you feel like this is your best stretch to this point?
Yeah, I think the numbers would say so. You know, there's still some things to be cleaned up. You know, but it's, you know, I've had a good run, and there's no denying that right now. And you know, just looking to, you know, try to carry the momentum into tomorrow.
Hey, Garrett, thanks a million for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Congratulations again.
Appreciate it.
Garrett Cole, the pitcher of the month for April. I saw a story today, the Trib. You were quoted, Steve, about Garrett Cole and the type of pitcher he's becoming.
I love watching him because I see a really good pitcher emerging and growing up and maturing and separating speeds and having confidence to not just have to pitch downstairs all the time. I think, like a lot of people think, he's got a chance to be really good, not just good. And it's fun watching all that progression for him.
He'll start tomorrow night, by the way. Tomorrow night, 4-0, 176 ERA. Meanwhile, there's a line drive toward the left center gap, and Jeff Locke has given up a hit to Hamilton, a home run to Byrd, a hit to Votto. And you go back to this Marlon Byrd home run. It is to the deepest part of the ballpark.
And he knows it. When you hit the ball like that, even though it's going toward a 410 sign, I mean,
that's a bomb.
That's comfortably over the 410 sign. That's what you call getting all of it. So for the third straight start, Jeff Locke struggling after two really good starts to begin the season with.
Frazier, who homered over the right center field fence to lead off the second. And this hit in the air to left.
There's a changeup that works, and get the first out in the top of the third.
One hop throw from Marte. That brings up Brandon Phillips, who singled and scored in the second.
And again, it's a 4-1 ball game, but you've got a young pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Maybe a barn burner, 10-8, kind of 11-9 kind of win, just maybe burns out some of the carbon. So stay tuned. This could get interesting in the offensive side rather than the pitching side that we've seen so much of.
Phillips with a fly ball to left. Again, Marte will hold the runner at first. So 2 fly balls with pretty decent depth to them. And, outs recorded. Before tonight, Pirates pitchers had allowed 2 homers in 11 straight games. Now the Reds have hit 2 home runs. Jay Bruce just a 133 career hitter against Locke, but he singled his first time up. Takes ball 1.
And how many times have we seen Jeff Locke all of a sudden get into a situation where he's retiring 11, 12 batters in a row by placing that ball exactly where he wants to? He's not there right now for sure, but it can change in that direction as quickly as it can change the opposite way.
Two and one.
But currently he's searching. I mean, he's trying to find a rhythm. Keep it together. Find a way.
Pick off the runner. That'll help. Alvarez will tag out Votto.
Thank you.
2-run homer for Marlon Byrd, a 4-1 Reds lead. Folks from the Unionville area, county cable viewers, thanks for watching and rooting on your Pittsburgh Pirates. All of us at Root Sports and the Pirates appreciate your support. County cable TV viewers saw Marlon Byrd hit the home run. But as Steve said, you have a guy who's making his second big league start. Todd Frazier got Lorenz in the early lead.
That home run Bird hit, that's got to be what, 450, something like that. Right. I mean, it was comfortably over the 410 sign. Ball's flying tonight.
Jordy Mercer, part of that outstanding double play turn happened top of the second, and a half swing. Wow. Excuse me, ground out. So our Point Park University tweets reactions to the double play turned Mercer and Walker.
That would be something you would see in some kind of Cirque du Soleil operation. You can do that with your body at second base like Jordy did.
Strike on Locke. He's 1 out of 8. Oh, and 2. To spit out his drink because of the double play, Walker and Mercer. Marte hits the opposite field home run in the second to get the Pirates on the board. Lorenzen strikes out Locke. 2 Ks. Back to the top of the order, and Gregory Polanco. Pirates host the St. Louis Cardinals Saturday at 7:05. After the game, a Great Zambelli fireworks show will be presented by Coca-Cola and Cedar Point. And remember, every fan's a winner on an Eaton Park Scratch and Win Saturday. For tickets, go to Pirates.com. That'll be the middle game of the 3-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals.
One thing we know about Mr. Lorenzen, he doesn't waste any time. He gets the baseball, he gets a sign, and he throws it. It's something you always want to see from a young pitcher. And we got some friends at the ballpark on the pup night.
The ever popular pup night. Polanco had a ground ball to Joey Votto on the first. And that's a foul ball. Lorenzen pitched 3 times at AAA Louisville this season. Went 2-1 with a .284 earned run average for the Louisville Bats. 19 innings, 20 hits, walked 4, struck out a dozen, gave up a couple of home runs in his 3 starts at AAA.
A lot of things we've talked to some of the Cincinnati people they like about him, even though I think he was like 4 and 6 last year or the year before. Tag, you're it. They must have liked what they saw in those starts at AAA when Bailey went down. He had to be the man.
Strikes out Polanco looking. Go to the 4th. 4-1 Cincy.
We're at a Pirates game. Always a lot of fun to have that. It's always a lot of fun to have A.J. Burnett as our guest on Twitter Tuesday. And he was asked by Mandy Renee if there's ever been a player that he has been intimidated by.
I mean, I'm going to have to say no. I respect every one of them. Some guys get in the box and you're like, ooh, that's him. Barry was that way when I used to face Barry Bonds. I was never intimidated by him, but the fact that was Barry standing there is, but I think the more they're in this game, the less intimidated you get.
Imagine that after all those guys. Barry Bonds is obviously one that sticks out, but think of the great players he has pitched against. Miguel Cabrera, Alex Rodriguez, some of the great hitters of our generation he's had to face, and Bonds the only one that sticks out. How about that?
Well, I would be surprised if I heard A.J. Burnett say he was intimidated by anybody, and that's okay. That's a good thing. You don't want to be intimidated, but a lot of them sure do get your attention. Henry Aaron, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey. I've got a few on my list by number or alphabetically. But, yeah, it's hard to imagine A.J. being intimidated.
Jay Bruce is retired. One out. Well, those shots of those pups out there, Steve.
Yeah,
there was one battle going on there.
There was a battle, and that's rare because you got a whole collection of different breeds and everything, and they seem to coexist okay. That guy there, is
it a pug?
Pug, bulldog.
Bulldog.
He was engaged. He was involved in a little dust up there before. I'd take him.
Strike is called. Oh, 0-2. One and two on Negron, who walked his first time up. Back to the mound. 2 outs. And it will bring up Ryan Pena. That's a pug, I'm told.
I think it's an Irish setter.
What's the other one? Truck. Gypsies. What's the other one? What's that one? Oh, got nothing.
Mixed breed.
Got nothing. Ball one on Brian Pena. He hit that ground ball in the second. Walker and Mercer turned into a spectacular double play. Two and one. Locke looking for his second 1-2-3 inning. And the 1-2-3 first, with help from Walker and Alvarez. And a strike. Gone. Well, he's got a gun too, doesn't he?
He does.
1-2-3. This week's episode, McCutchen shares his insights on a Little League hot topic. Melanson finds a new way to transport players through PNC Park's tunnels, and much more. Inside Pirates Baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network, tonight after postgame on Root Sports. UPMC scoreboard, the Reds leading at 4-1, and the 2-3-4 men in the order bat for the second time against Michael Lorenzen, the rookie right-hander making his second big league start. Maybe some inclement weather on its way.
Nothing dramatic that we've heard.
Nothing dramatic.
I mean, not a long-lasting band of bad weather. I mean, if we get something that doesn't look like it's going to be long-lasting or dramatic.
Manny Lopez, the head of the grounds crew, was out talking to Ted Barrett between innings. Cervelli, ball hugs the line and a fair ball.
So far, just one mistake by this young pitcher, Michael Lorenzen. Cost him that one mistake, but other than that, he's been squeaky clean.
6 ground ball outs, 3 strikeouts, 1 line out by Neil Walker, and now Andrew McCutchen, who was just 2 out of 12 in the 3-game series in Cincinnati that started this season.
You know, you look at both sides of the coin in this scenario. The Cincinnati people might be telling Michael Lorenzen, hey, you might be catching this team just at the right time. The Pirate bats are cold, so maybe it's an opportunity for him to have a timing scenario. Pitch against a team was not scoring much. But again, that didn't change so very quickly, and we hope that it does. Maybe Jeff Locke has gotten into a little groove, and I would submit if you hold him to 4, we're going to make some noise.
Ball hit toward right center field, and a nice running catch by Jay Bruce.
He's not the quickest guy in the world, but when he gets going, lumbering after that ball, and he caught up to it.
Well, McCutchen really started to hit the ball that last game on Sunday, driving the ball to the gaps, but everything's been tracked down. 2 outs, nobody on, and here's Walker.
And what they say, when you're going bad, you hit the ball hard, and somebody runs it down, somebody makes a spectacular catch on it. When you're going hot, they don't get close to anything. You know? That's baseball.
That's baseball. A couple of strikes now on Walker. Again, the Walker line out to left field his first time up. He was 2 out of 11 in that series in Cincinnati. The Reds beat the Pirates in each of the first 3 games of the season. In fact, the Reds walked off in the last 2 games of that opening series.
A little bit of a theme for the Pirates early on.
And there is a base hit. Past a diving Votto.
Some ground balls just find the open space. Just beyond the reach of Votto. What do they say? If he can't get it, nobody can.
Here is Marte. He lined the home run over the right field wall in the second. Pena him with a block and a peek to see if Walker might be going.
Backhand pick there.
Devin Mesoraco has not started a game for the Reds since April the 11th. He's got a hip impingement, and so essentially the Reds are playing shorthanded. He can pinch hit, but that's about it.
Isn't that an old A-Rod situation? Yeah. Ailment? You're talking about Devin Mesoraco, local guy. This really has come into his own, trying to stay healthy. You talk about miseries of the individual hitters, Greg. Think about a batting coach. He takes it all home every night for a lot of people. So, Mercer is certainly for the Pirate hitters, but Jeff Branson. I know these are tough times for the coaches of the individual components of a
ball. No, they take it personally.
Oh, yeah. Think about Ray Surge when the pitchers aren't doing it. They're like uncles. I mean, it's you don't have to just worry about yourself. You've got a whole bunch of people you're concerned about.
Well, a big swing here would change everybody's feelings. Alvarez was really seeing the ball well the last couple of games in St. Louis. Hit the home run in his final at bat. That had given the Pirates the lead in the 12th. That after walking 4 straight times. Now Pena wants to talk to Lorenzen.
And now you're seeing a little bit of uncertainty here. He was rolling right along. Retired 8 in a row, 7 in a row, something like that. And, a nice roll. You see what they like about him. I mean, he's a young man, throws 94, 95 miles an hour. It's it seems like a very common thing at the big league level, but coming up through the minor leagues, part of the reason he's here.
Good look, 2-0. How careful do the Reds want to be to Alvarez?
I would be very careful. Beautiful hitters count.
Yep, all 3. I don't think they throw him a strike here. You figure Alvarez is going to have the green light. These picks by Pena.
Yeah. Middle infielder.
Lorenzen this inning has thrown 11 pitches out of the zone, 7 strikes. And he walks Alvarez on 4 pitches.
So if they're pitching around him, that's dangerous, especially for a young pitcher. Now he's dug himself a hole, even though there's 2 outs. And they're going to get a visit by the pitching coach.
That is Jeff Pico. Oh boy, Alvarez now just racking up walks. He's drawn 8 walks in his last 12 plate appearances. Well, Jung Ho Kang will have an opportunity. Bounced to short in the 2nd inning.
Well, we've been seeing so much of this, right? Pirates with opportunities, not getting the key hit at the right time. Another opportunity. Out of action.
And he throws him a strike, a fastball. early on an indication that he likes these situations. Jung Ho Gong.
8 at bats, 6 ribbies.
On towards center field, and Hamilton will be there. And the Pirates will leave 3 on in the inning. Trail 4-1. Shots from the Allegheny Health Network Super Mo.
Wait a minute.
How about this? Abe Lincoln, 16, 16th president.
Talk about a superstar.
I was trying to find out how many Lincolns Pirates have had on their club over their 130-year history. And there have been
7.
2.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Mike Lincoln and Brad Lincoln. Brad, the most recent. I don't remember Mike Lincoln all that. Do you remember Mike Lincoln at all? The early 2000s?
I remember the name.
Yeah.
I can't picture it.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Lincoln, yes. In fact, he went to Cincinnati. Had the big curveball.
Yeah, that Mike Lincoln. Yeah.
Brad Lincoln is in the Pirates minor league system now.
Yep, that's
AAA Indy. Yeah. Okay.
You're on it.
Yes, sir. That's
takes care of that. Yeah.
Back to the ball game.
Okay, Abe.
Mike Lorenzen. What do you think of the T-shirt? You've got no comment?
I like the T-shirt. There's honesty in T-shirts finally. Honest, Abe?
Yeah, I gotcha. Pretty clever.
I have to admit, I didn't remember Abe wearing number 16. I couldn't remember what number he wore.
Billy Hamilton
up here in the booth talking about Abe.
We got Keith Reese-Beard.
Well, Abe had a better beard than that, just to be honest. Tall man, wasn't he?
Yes, he was tall and honest.
Yep.
1-2 now on Billy Hamilton.
Mrs. Lincoln Mary was not that tall. Short.
Nope, that's right.
Statue.
There he is.
Got it going on.
Look out.
Honestly, I thought that ball had him.
get a report here from Robbie in a moment. I don't know whether it's going to be about the Lincoln T-shirt. Let's find out. Yeah, Robbie.
Well, you're talking about former Pirates. We had some news about a former Pirate yesterday break out of Bradenton, Florida, and that is that Jeff Karstens, former Pirates pitcher, has announced he was retiring from baseball. He hasn't pitched since the 2012 season. But I talked to him earlier on the phone today, and he just said, hey, it was a combination of a few different things. When you look at it, he said the first thing is that it took a while to come to the decision. And he did play some long toss, but the shoulder wasn't quite where it was, and the passion wasn't there like it used to be. So he said, hey, it's time to call it quits. He said he's very thankful to Neil Huntington for trading for him and giving him the chance in Pittsburgh. And he's also thankful for the Pirate fans on how they embraced him. He specifically pointed out to the fans attending his charity cooking event for 3 seasons and how packed it was each and every year. He's going to fish for a month and decide what's next. 7 years in the bigs, 5 with the Buccos. One of the good guys in baseball, Jeff Karstens, Greg.
He did more with I think, Steve, in terms of pitching, he pitched more than any hurler we've seen in a while. Huh?
Yep, he was not overpowering. He had to be just right, and he was.
Charlie Morton, by the way, back. Yep. Will be pitching in a minor league game soon.
I was a big fan of those charity events.
Nakama.
Over at Nakama, yeah, big fan of Nakama. Nice to have the charity events there.
Yep. Jeff Karstens
number
a lot of work.
27.
Yep, that's right. Strike 3 called, and Jeff Locke on a bit of a roll here. Reds up 4-1. Just saw Charlie Morton in the dugout. He threw a bullpen session today here at PNC Park. Ray Searage watching on, threw about 50 pitches. Next stop for him will be rehab assignment with AA Altoona. Going to start on Friday as he gets built up. Oh, cross your fingers that Charlie Morton, after a few rehab starts, will be ready to go again. You really are rooting for Charlie Morton because, honestly, that game in Philadelphia, you hate to see anybody go through what he went through. It was not pretty. He was absolutely all over the place. Didn't know where he was throwing it, and we wondered. But he's worked hard to get back, and it's good to see.
Yep.
On a 2-0 pitch, Mercer is retired. One down here at the bottom of the 5th inning. Brings up Jeff Locke, and the Pirates a little bit of noise in the 4th inning with 2 outs. The base hit and then back-to-back walks, but really been easy going here for Lorenzen.
Yeah, you consider that base hit by Neil Walker, ground ball that found the hole in 2-3 passes. They didn't knock him around. And actually, Gung hit the ball right on the button, but a line drive to center field. So once again, they're not falling. But I still contend if you get base runners, that's the whole basis of offense. Eventually, you're going to cash in. If you stop getting base runners, that's when it's terminal.
Johnny Cueto, Cincinnati Reds right-hander, will not be pitching in this series. Roller, easy for Phillips. 2 outs. Finale of this series is Thursday night, and the first 20,000 fans will get one of these Clint Hurdle gnomes presented by Trib Total Media. Go to Pirates.com for tickets. It's coming up on Thursday night. A.J. Burnett will be on the hill. Just Anthony DeSclafani. How about the Pirates have 3 pitchers in the top 10 in earned run average, all ERAs under 2.
That's the really hurting part of this hitting slump, because they're losing games 2-1, and a hit could make them winners of a 2-1 game. We've seen that in the past when the pitchers have been on a roll. You get the 2 runs, and that's not much to get in a 9-inning ball game. But now we're on the other side of it. I mean, you can very easily win 2-1 as well as you can lose. I mean, those kind of games sway back and forth either way. You hate to waste that pitching.
A.J. Burnett is 3rd in ERA, 145. Garrett Cole 4th, 176. Liriano's 195 is 7th best. Last time the Pirates had 3 pitchers with earned run averages under 2 through this late a date, 1943. Bob Klinger, Wally Hebert, and Rip Sewell.
Oh, Rip Sewell. He always comes up on the list.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
The Ephus.
Yep, the Ephus pitch. And you got to consider too, that was during the Second World War, when a lot of pitchers and hitters were away in the service.
Oh, and Polanco down, and the Pirates retired 1, 2, 3.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network. Health for all. By Kenny Ross, Ask a Neighbor. And by Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture showrooms and freestanding stores. Let's go Bucks!
4-1 ball game. Reds lead game 1 of this 6-game homestand. Waiting on their buckos and hoping Jeff Locke can have another quick inning and something will happen with these bats.
That was certainly a challenge for him here in the top of the 6th innings. You retired 8 in a row, 9 if you count the pickoff. So he's on one of these little runs where he's getting the outs, getting them quickly.
It was Votto who was caught stealing in the third on that pickoff. But 3-0. Not really close 4-pitch walk after he retired 8 straight batters. He now faces Todd Frazier. Frazier has homered and flied to left.
I would think the chances of Votto taking off would be minimal after getting picked off. Looking right at him again. Five in a row.
Line drive, base hit, and Votto will head to third, putting runners at first and third, and no one out. Here in the 6th inning.
These little mini runs can come so quickly and disappear so quickly. Jeff locked in for a bit. All of a sudden, that free pass opens the door up again for Cincinnati.
Bullpen phone rings. Euclides Rojas, the bullpen coach, answers. And Jared Hughes is going to get up.
That's the way it works. The big wheel starts turning when things get rough.
And that not close.
Looks very much out of sync, and when that happens, sometimes you have to resist the urge. Okay, I'm just going to throw a strike. You still want to make your pitches, but that temptation is there because all of a sudden he's out of whack. The rhythm is, and most catchers will sense that. Cervelli goes out to talk to him. Also, maybe buy a little time for Jared Hughes.
Infield at double play depth with Brandon Phillips at the plate. And a 1-0 count. Phillips has singled to right and scored and flied out to left. And that's going to be an out between home and third. Nicely done by Gunn. 1 down.
Now the whole complexion of the half inning turns around. Cincinnati setting up shop. They're still in business. But the lead runner is gone from third. Double play still set up. Votto is not able to stay in a rundown long enough to let everybody advance. Five to 2. No further damage.
Jay Bruce is 1 for 2.
Certainly not your typical double play candidate. He's a guy that swings and misses a lot or hits the ball a long way a lot. Known for ground ball double plays.
Bruce, a 2-time Silver Slugger. Miserable 2014 season. Former first-round pick out of Beaumont, Texas. Last year hit .217 with 18 homers and 66 RBIs.
Nice
by
pick there.
Cervelli.
And the Pirates have Jordy Mercer up and back to Frazier. As you take a look at this pick, and they're still running if he doesn't get that. You know, you look at Frazier out at second base. He's a baseball player, so you can't forget about him, even though Mercer is there. Because if you get careless, he's gone. He knows how to play baseball.
Bounced foul. 2-2.
And now Jeff's in a position to look for a strikeout. Bruce strikes out a lot. You take the double play, but you don't expect it all that much from Bruce with the type of swing he has. Get him to go fishing, Jeff.
Lined into the seats.
And that's about all you could do with where that pitch was delivered, was pull it that dramatically. If you can wiggle out of this, we're still not doing anything hardly offensively, but this would be a big deal with the way this inning started, with a quick walk, and quick base hit. They set up shop one in first and third, and you got a chance to get out of this thing.
Struck him out looking.
Step number 2 to get out of it. Nicely placed fastball. Cervelli wants it there and gets it right there.
And gets a call right there.
Gets a call right there.
That's not a strike, says Bruce.
Ted Barrett says, I thought it was.
Now Christopher Negron. He's walked and bounced back to the mound. Foul ball. Pronounces his name Negron, unlike the former Three Dog Night League lead singer Chuck Negron.
Yep.
Right?
One of our favorite groups.
We were talking about him before the game.
Yep. Quite a career. They're touring around now, but Chuck Negron is not, he's out by himself, solo.
Is that right? He is?
Yeah.
Great group in the 70s. I guess late 60s, too. But,
had a lot of hits. They were a fun group to watch. And the whole group got kind of blown up. Now they're gone separate ways. That happens to so many acts, doesn't it? I mean, they go their separate ways.
Absolutely.
The lead singer goes solo.
Yep. That's what happens. Now Cervelli and Locke going to talk things over. I want to wish a happy birthday to Carol Ann Calloway.
Happy birthday.
Yep.
And happy birthday to you,
That's
too,
right.
whenever it is.
To all three of you.
Yep.
Now 0-2 on Negron. Former draft pick of the Boston Red Sox. He was traded over to the Reds in August of 2009 for Alex Gonzalez. Another New Jersey native, he and Todd Frazier. Garden State. 0-2, 2 outs. And a nice little play there by Mercer to keep it right there and toss to Walker. See if the bats can get going here in the 6th. Free Shirt Friday. First 20,000 fans get a free Pirates t-shirt courtesy of Milan. For tickets, go to pirates.com/Free Shirt Friday. Cool looking shirt you'll receive if you're one of the first 20,000 fans. The Pirates and the Redbirds, clean, crisp.
Good looking.
Yep.
We need a clean, crisp 5 spot here in the bottom of the 6th.
Cervelli, McCutchen, Walker. Just feels, Steve, like one of these innings, the floodgates are going to open.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
It is. It's
just a matter of when.
Yep.
Ground ball to the shortstop, Negron. And now the story, Michael Lorenzen.
Second major league start, looking a lot better than his first major league start. He gave up 3 home runs to the Brewers.
5 innings. Walked 1, struck out 5. 3 solo homers. He gave up the solo homer to Marte in the second.
Yeah, you look behind the 3 home runs. You look at 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, major league debut.
Not bad.
Yeah, you look beyond some things. You look inside some things, not just the obvious stuff.
Clint Hurdle was asked a lot today about Andrew McCutchen's health. And he says, you know, really, we're talking to him every day, but really not an issue. So you look at how well he's running, the balls he tracked down in St. Louis. We're on top of it, talking to him, but the issue is not the health of McCutchen.
And you got to look at the psychological point too. The Pirates are losing, so everything gets more attention.
Well, you know, McCutchen, you just don't want to accept he's batting under 200. It has to be a reason. It's Andrew McCutchen.
He might just be in a slump.
Yep. Just 2 hits and 14 at bats in the 4 games played now against Cincinnati. And this is a fly ball to center.
Take a look at the location.
Boy,
that ball is right there,
down the middle.
Yeah, that's those are the pitches that you miss when you're struggling. Hitting's tough. People forget.
Yeah.
We get spoiled. Hitting's tough. It's a game of minimalizing your struggles.
Two and one on Walker. Nice look.
Pansies are out.
Walker hit. He's on base for the 2nd straight time.
Speaking of hip impingement, that's on the 5. Somebody say that baseball is a game of minimal failures. You just want to fail less than the other guys. It's tough. best hitters fail 70% of the time.
Down 3 with 2 outs in the 6th.
And the good news, all this dialogue will be gone when they start hitting. Thank goodness.
A little bobble. Inning. This play was made spectacularly by Neil Walker and Jordy Mercer, our Chick-fil-A double play. One of the best you'll ever see.
Almost like a hook shot from Mercer back to first base. That was terrific. That was terrific.
Ryan Pena hit that ball in the 2nd, and he leads off the 7th inning.
And maybe not as spectacular, but Jeff Locke working hard to keep this ball game from getting out the door. A couple of huge outs at the top of the 6th.
Four runs, 7 hits for the Reds. Two home runs. Easy play for Locke. Let's go back to the studio for a State Farm game break. All right, Rob, thanks very much. You know, one of the stats, numbers that folks look at to see how a team is trending or performing is that run differential. And if you're looking for positives, first of all, the Pirates are better off now than they were a year ago, even though they're a game under 500. But it's kind of surprised me, Steve. The run differential a year ago through 25 games, they were 1 run worse. They're plus 15 in terms of the run differential this season.
Could that be a reflection on pitching too?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's everything. They're not scoring much lately for sure, but they're not giving up much, that's for sure.
Thank goodness.
And a plus 15 run differential.
Good pitching keeps you afloat somehow.
Strikes out Lorenzen.
Number 5.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Jason Steele in our truck let us know that by the end of the year last year, the Pirates were plus 51 in the run differential department. They scored 682. They allowed 631. They're plus 15 now, are coming into this game. If those numbers are correct, that was Jason Steele in our trailer.
Well,
if they're wrong, it was my fault.
I've never seen Jason to be wrong.
No. Hamilton thought about bunting, pulled back and took a strike anyway. From Collins, Mississippi, 24 years old. Years ago, a professional baseball record, stealing 155 bases in the minor leagues in 192 attempts. He's 13 for 14 in stolen base attempts this season. And in the air to McCutchen. That'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Jeff Locke. 7th inning stretch time. Maybe we can stretch some runs out. This Pirates team down 3 to the Cincinnati Reds. Our UPMC scoreboard, a 4-1 Cincinnati lead. We're going to keep it here for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And as we said, it is maybe time for the Buccos to get up off the deck here against Michael Lorenzen and get some runs.
Indeed. On Root Sports as we sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
By a 4-1 score. We mention this every time the Pirates play the Reds. It becomes an 8-inning game, so you've got 2 innings to get it done. They've got the lights out closer, Aroldis Chapman. The other relievers in the bullpen have struggled. Well, you really got to get it done in the next couple of innings. As Jumbo Diaz, the righty, and Tony Cingrani, the lefty, loosen. Vance Worley talking with Jeff Locke. Get a couple of men on base, and you might force Brian Price's hand. He might have to go to that bullpen. Prefer not to, but you see 87 pitches. Lorenzen, he gives up a run or two. There's a base hit to start things off for Pedro Alvarez.
The shift won't stop that one.
Now we'll bring up Chung Ho Kang. Alvarez takes that inside fastball, the Allegheny Health Network Supermo. Line drive to right, on base for the second straight time. He's seeing the ball well.
You know, the ball game dictates a lot of things, but you also got a very young pitcher out there, and you don't know how far they want to go with him, stretch him out. He's right around, what is it, 90 pitches now?
Corey Hart is in the hole. Dirt. 2-1.
I'm guessing this youngster might have to get going out to stay in the ball game.
Trying for his first big league win. It's his second major league start. Now a very
Close.
important pitch in the ball game at 3-1. He probably does have to get Kang.
Very close. We're going to call on those every once in a while. The Pirates got that one.
Alvarez takes off, and it's ball 4, 2 on with nobody out.
His third walk.
See if Brian Price makes the move. Jordy Mercer coming to the plate. That is going to be it for Lorenzen. So the Pirates can do some work against this Reds bullpen. Lorenzen will exit with a 4-1 lead. Responsible for 2 men on and nobody out in the 7th. Mike Leake on the mound tomorrow night against Garrett Cole. And then Anthony DeSclafani against A.J. Burnett on Thursday night. Clint Hurdle Gnomes given away to the first 20,000 fans on Thursday, but good pitching matchups the next 2 nights. Cole and Burnett. A.J. Burnett looking for his first win, despite outstanding work so far. Now Jumbo Diaz, who got the win opening day in Cincinnati, getting 1 out as the Reds beat the Pirates April the 6th, 5-2.
3 home runs given up. He has got strikeout stuff. 12 in his 9 innings of work.
2 on, nobody out for Jordy Mercer. Hits this hard, but going to be right at Hamilton.
The Atom ball.
And a few of those tonight. The line out to center. Corey Hart will pinch hit for Locke. Well, Lorenzen back to the dugout, and some congrats fist bumps from his teammates.
Second major league start. Jeff Locke should get some of the same kind of treatment for keeping this thing together.
Seated next to Charlie Morton now is Jeff Locke. Jumbo Diaz has given up 3 home runs. This is his 11th appearance. Bounced around a number of organizations before finding a home in Cincinnati. Finally made it to the big leagues last year. Was one time a Pirates minor leaguer. 13 years in the minors. Did it hit him? No, foul ball.
Not that we're begging, but we would.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We'll take anything.
And we'll do some whining and crying along with it.
You betcha.
Till this thing is over, till we bust out.
Yep. '98 from Diaz.
Yeah, we saw Jumbo in a few spring training games down in Florida.
Just got a piece of it. How close to being a strikeout? Diaz has struck out 12 and 8 2/3 innings.
Not too much subtlety in his approach. He's big and strong. Throws it hard.
And that could be a double play ball. It is. Corey Hart bounces into a 5-3 inning-ending double play. Still 4-1 Cincy.
Join the fun. Use the hashtag Bucks Tuesday from now on. AJ Burnett was asked by a Twitter user named TJ, who has 2 boys, ages 10 and 12, and asked him why resting is important between starts.
Well, it's important for me because I'm 38 years old now. I think nowadays there's a lot of throwing. Baseball is year-round. You know, we played a little bit in the fall growing up, but now it's constant baseball, and there's a lot of throwing on kids' arms. So anytime you can take a day of rest, it's going to help them out for sure, especially at a younger age.
It's actually a good point there. I mean, pitching has become so specialized, Steve, probably a little bit different back when you were pitching, when kids played all kinds of sports. Now it's just constant throw, throw, throw. So kids, keep remembering, rest is important.
Rest is important, but then you also tell kids, play as much baseball as you can if you want to be a ball player, because it's a game of repetition. So, yeah, you work the thin line. Especially youngsters, they're in growth patterns and everything, so you got to be careful. You don't want to beat them over the head with too much stuff. Let them taking a break. You see kids playing sports on top of another. They never have any time off. They go from a fall sport to a winter sport.
Well, that's one thing that I hear Neil Huntington talk about a lot. Play all the sports. It's become so specialized. These kids are playing 12 months a year. The travel teams, baseball, play all the sports. He says you become a better player, better athlete when you play all the sports.
You're using the whole body when you diversify.
He's a multi-sport star in high school, Pine Ridgeland. Now Mercer on the first takes care of Marlon Byrd. Jared Hughes on in relief. Marlon Byrd had a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. Jeff Locke went 7 hits, 4 runs. 3 of the runs coming on home runs from Frazier. Todd Frazier, a solo shot in the 2nd, and that Byrd home run in the 3rd.
And like you say, Greg, we're in the top of the 8th inning. Get them out here and do whatever you can in the bottom of the 8th because of Chapman.
A base hit for Joey Votto. Hit all that hard, but it's a ground single to right. And he's on base for the 3rd straight time. A little mist falling.
Yeah, just sprinkling the infield.
Yep. Never light mist. Good look there. Ninth home run in the 2nd inning to lead the National League.
Big sweeping breaking ball. Used to call that the old roundhouse. Side to side. No up and down on that one. Down from up. Tries it back to back. Second one didn't work.
Jared Hughes suffered the loss on Saturday in St. Louis. And a pop-up. McCutchen. Second out in the 8th inning. Frazier is retired. He's 2 for 4 tonight. Joey Votto has a couple of hits and a walk. It's like he's on base 3 or 4 times every night, every time you play the Reds. A miserable year last year. Didn't make excuses, but a lot of people believed he was playing hurt, and now healthy again. Looks like the old Votto.
And a lot of people perceive him as a slugger, but he's all over the place. hitting the ball to the opposite field, beating a shift with a routine ground ball. If you think Matt Holliday is intense, so is this guy.
And there's another.
Yeah, intensity.
Intense.
Yeah.
As nice as can be off the field.
Yeah, this is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, it is. Votto is creeping.
And he remembered to step off instead of just stopping. Let's do that to avoid the balk.
Point Park University tweet. What do opposing team players talk about on first base?
It runs the whole gamut. Runs the whole gamut. Might be talking about a play that occurred, something that was right, something was wrong. Might be a family discussion. You haven't seen each other in a while.
Maybe even the weather.
Could be the weather. Yep.
Might be some first base talk right there.
Yeah.
I could see Votto saying something to Pedro about a little nuance of first base.
How's it going over there? It's busier, isn't it?
Busier than you thought.
Busier than third.
Two and two on Brandon Phillips with Votto at first and 2 outs. And that one's going to drop in for a hit. Brandon Phillips has his second hit of the night. So 2 on. And Jay Bruce. Already down 3.
Yeah, this doesn't seem very important, but you don't want it to get any further than this.
Sputtering offense, yeah, you can not afford to give up another. Jay Bruce with a hit and 3 trips to the plate. 2 for 8 lifetime against Jared Hughes. Last time out, struck out looking against Jeff Locke.
See if we can get the shift to stop him.
Jeff Locke gave up just 1 hit over his last 4 2/3 innings. A 2 spot in the second, 2-run homer in the third. 0-1 on Bruce. Tony Cingrani, Gregory Polanco, a left-handed hitter, who will lead off for the Pirates at the bottom of the 8th. Two and one. Clint Hurdle's Bucks have lost 3 in a row. 5 of 6. They went to Phoenix on the road trip and swept a 3-game series against the D-backs. Lost the first 2 games of the series in Chicago at Wrigley. And there was hope that when the Pirates scored 8 runs on 14 hits Wednesday night against the Cubs and one going away 8-1, that would spark the offense. But extra inning losses each of the 3 games against the Cardinals. Got him. Well, Jared Hughes does his job. And to the bottom of the 8th we go. Much coming to Stage A Sunday night. 4-1 Reds going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Pirates will face lefty Tony Cingrani to start things off.
Some control issues. 8 2/3, 6 walks. You need base runners.
Polanco 0 for 3 against Michael Lorenzen. Aroldis Chapman. Softball?
His fastballs look a lot smaller than that.
Yeah. 2-1 on Polanco.
Let's go back to Jumbo Diaz. What a job he did. He came in and just shut everything down with a fly ball and a double play. So he gets good marks for his brief appearance.
Cingrani was a starter for a time. Hughes pitched a scoreless top of this 8th inning. Reds feel like his stuff plays better out of the bullpen. A former 3rd-round pick 4 years ago. Made 29 starts the last 2 years. .6'4", 210 pounds from Evergreen, Illinois. And he stabs that one. Takes care of Polanco. Brings up Francisco Cervelli. The Pitt Panthers baseball team heads to Atlanta, Georgia this weekend for an ACC matchup against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Don't miss First Pitch live right here Saturday at 1 on Root Sports.
And that last ball hit by Polanco looked like it had a chance, hit hard enough to perhaps get up through the middle for a base hit, but not to be.
Cervelli has put the ball on the ground 3 times to the left side of the infield. Cardinals and Cubs are tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 4th inning in St. Louis. The Cubs had a big come from behind victory last night. They have won 7 in a row. St. Louis Cardinals, the best record in baseball. Fans trying to do their part. Only backing up takes the strike. .3-0, Steve. Did it matter what a batter did? It shouldn't, right? I mean, some of them try to show bunt to distract. This Cervelli backs away, and he does walk.
Yeah.
Well, it brings up McCutchen.
Yeah, pitchers don't like to see that kind of stuff. You're thinking that guy's up there, what, are you trying to trick me?
Yeah.
It's the big leagues.
Right. So McCutchen, who was 0 for 3 in this game. Jeff Pico. Well, the manager, Brian Price, takes no chances. He gets Aroldis Chapman up, and he's not afraid to bring in his closer even in the 8th inning. here in Cingrani, Steve just mentioned, has had bouts of wildness. He just walked Cervelli, and right away Andrew McCutchen pops up. 2 outs. Boy, he talk about frustrated. You have to wonder at any time in his career, professional career, if he's had any kind of stretches like this, Steve.
No.
You know that?
And that's a pitch he kills, too.
Yeah.
It's not far enough in to tie him up. You're right. He might not have been challenged like this ever.
And Neil Walker takes a strike.
And right now, you can even feel it in the stands. It's just a period where it's just plain flat.
It would be interesting to see if Walker does reach. It means Marte represents the tying run. Figure he would face Chapman. Yep. Frustrating. Cervelli just said, was that called? Did somebody call that? You do wonder. 4-1, 2 outs. What in the world is he doing throwing to first? Two and 1.
There's no lightness. There's very serious conversations with him. I've interviewed Joey Votto a couple times, and he's very engaging, but he thinks about what he's going to say, and he doesn't say things lightly. Yeah. He's pretty serious about stuff.
Big cut now, 3-2. And you'd have to say the pitch of the game right now. The Pirates feel like they have any shot at all. They've got to get Walker on and give Marte a shot. With Chapman waiting in the wings. So here's the pitch, maybe of the night for the Pirates. And it's a fly ball to right field. Jay Bruce makes the catch. Go to the ninth. Still 4-1 Cincy. The Pirates coverage starts at 6:30 with Pirates pregame presented by WB Mason here on Root Sports. Garrett Cole turning into the Pirates ace, 4-0 on the year, and coming off pitcher of the month honors. He might be asked tomorrow to end a 4-game losing streak unless the Pirates can pull off an improbable victory in the bottom of the 9th against Aroldis Chapman. It is still a safe situation. Bastardo will try and keep it that way.
Be nice for Garrett to add stopper
to
his resume. Entirely capable. No steals, right, for Cincinnati tonight?
Correct.
Okay, so they'll be tested. Mr. Cole and Mr. Burnett are going to get tested the next 2 games.
And it's certainly a test for players like Andrew McCutchen. As we were saying and wondering earlier when he popped up, has he ever experienced a slump of this nature?
You just don't associate a batting average that starts with a 1.
Not with that guy.
Just, it's hard to believe.
I said earlier, hitting's tough. Christopher Negron. Jeff Locke went 7, gave up 4 runs. He's on the hook. Down the line and left. Marte will hold Negron to a long single. And Negron on base for the 2nd time tonight. Brian Pena is 0 for 3.
Both of these teams coming into this game with a 12-13 record.
Josh Harrison probably back in the lineup tomorrow. Pena showing bunt. Ten hits now for Cincinnati. Strike. 33-year-old from Cuba faces Antonio Bastardo in his first year with the Pirates.
Very much a specialist to this point. Several appearances, not many innings.
Bunts it toward first. Alvarez will apply the tag. Sacrifice for Pena. And now Devin Mesoraco will pinch hit for the pitcher Tony Cingrani. So the Punxsutawney native will come to the plate. This fan club on hand, happy to at least see him get a chance to hit. As we mentioned earlier, he has not started a game since April the 11th with that hip issue. All-star for the first time last year. He's made 5 appearances since April the 12th, all as a pinch hitter. 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. You have to wonder, Steve, how long a guy can go on with this injury. Well, if the Reds are contemplating shutting him down for a while.
You say last start April 11th?
Yeah. It'd be tough for a catcher to have a hip impingement.
And then you wonder if he's not able to play, would they shut him down and would surgery be involved?
Right.
mean, this, when you go on a kind of uncertain for a month, almost a month now.
The runner takes off for third, and he is there.
Yep, we had to mention that stolen base. No stolen bases.
Negron swipes third with one out. Bastardo
Oh,
does.
yeah, he's creeping.
Oh, you see Walker. I wonder if a play was on. You see Walker frustrated when the pitch was delivered to the plate. Now the infield forced to play in. Take another look.
Watch out of the right side of your screen as Neal gets involved in the picture, trying to call timeout, get him to step off, anything, because he knows that he is moving, and so it's not a start from a dead stop. He's creeping along the way, just edges his way over toward third before the ball is released.
Two and two on Mesoraco. And now a full count. For now, it's Chapman. I wonder if the Reds score, if Ryan Price would go in another direction. As the save situation would be taken away, and a walk. Puts runners at first and third. Antonio Bastardo, in 5 1/3 innings, has now walked 4 batters. And here's Billy Hamilton. Anybody else, you'd play at double play depth. But the Pirates can't do that with Billy Hamilton at the plate.
Looking at Chapman, it's his last pitched on April 28th.
Yeah.
So I would
get some work anyway.
Yeah, I would be very surprised, regardless of the score, if it didn't work.
A week ago today. Billy Hamilton with 1 hit and 4 at bats and a run scored. This is the fastball.
Everybody checking now. Jim Riggleman at third base coach for the Reds.
One and one. Good to see Jim Riggleman back in the majors. He had been down in the Reds minor league system. It was 4 years ago where he decided to resign as manager of the Washington Nationals. His contract was expiring and he wanted an answer. Look at this.
Squeeze play. Swinging squeeze play.
Billy Hamilton gets the RBI single. And now it's a 4-run lead for the Reds.
They couldn't have hit it more perfectly. Hamilton's speed makes it a moot point at first base, and just too far to come in to make a play at home plate. The Reds could not have drawn it up any better.
Still just one out. Marlon Byrd hits this ball toward right center field, and that's going to get down, and this is going to wrap things up. Marlon Byrd with a 2-run double and a 4 RBI night, as Antonio Bastardo allows 3 runs and a 7-1 Reds lead. Four RBIs for Marlon Byrd. Couple of hits for him. 5 at bats, a home run. Here's Joey Votto with a couple of hits and 3 trips. Bastardo has gotten 1 out, and that was on a sacrifice bunt. Marlon Byrd picked up over the winter by the Cincinnati Reds. Pirate fans saw him in 2013. Ground ball on to first. 2 outs.
We saw Marlon Byrd do a lot of this sort of thing for the Pirates.
30 games for the Bucks in 318. Then had a strong postseason. Picked up in late December from the Phillies in a deal for a minor league pitcher. And though Bird's batting average coming in 181, we had heard that started to swing the bat better. And now over his last 10 games hitting over 300 with 4 homers and 9 RBIs over his last 10 appearances.
You saw the young man who started for the Reds, Lorenzen, in the dugout, looking more and more like he's going to pick up his first major league win. And he pitched well enough to deserve it. It's not over yet, but looking dire.
Ground ball to third. Jung Ho Kang on to first. A rough outing for Bastardo. Will go to the bottom of the 9th. 7-1 Reds. Yellowwood bringing the lumber. Starling Marte accounting for the Pirates' run with his opposite field home run in the 2nd inning that cut the lead to 2-1. So the Reds added 2 more in the 3rd and just put up a 3 spot here in the 9th. And now the Pirates, their uphill climb wasn't big to begin with. It's Aroldis Chapman
11 innings, basically, if you round it off, 19 strikeouts.
Maybe he's one of those closers that doesn't perform well when he's got the big lead in a non-closing situation.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Well, he hasn't pitched in a week, so maybe he won't be sharp.
Maybe. Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah. Marte Alvarez and Jung Ho Kang. Whoa.
Maybe not so sharp. Shades of the old Yankee pitcher Ryan Duran with the Coke bottle glasses would come in and throw one up against the screen. Catches a flyer.
'99.
Johnny Cueto perhaps pointing out the radar gun reading.
Whoa. But you know, the Pirates have seen, now they've got a guy in their bullpen, Archimedes Caminero, who throws 99, 100, 101. Caminero has thrown the second highest number of 100+ mile per hour pitches.
There's 100.
101.
101. Yeah.
100 on the scoreboard, 101 on our box upstairs.
Well, you get the idea.
Yep. Two and two. One. It has been a week for Chapman. Has not given up a run in 10 2/3 innings. He's walked 3, struck out 19, and a walk.
You have any idea how scary it would be to stand in the box if you're not a major league professional hitter? I mean, it is it is different. It is different standing in there.
We're talking about a tough assignment from the left side.
Yeah, this is even tougher here.
Ooh.
Power against power.
Alvarez 0 for 9 in his career against Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, and then you get the elevation to try to go up and make square contact.
Whoa. 102. We've talked about this before, that Chapman is a guy that throws 101, 102 at times, like the Pirates' Caminero, but there's something about the deception, left side, whatever it is, where you just can't touch it. Whereas we've seen
contact with Caminero.
Yeah, some big time contact at times.
That's what you kind of mean when you talk about finish or whatever it is. It's hard to explain. They're the same miles an hour, but you're not picking it up. They're hiding it a little bit, or it's just got jump at the end, carry, finish, like they say. It's a hard subject to define, but some fastballs at the same miles per hour are different.
Well, here is Jung Ho Kang, who said over the winter after the Pirates signed him that he wanted to face Aroldis Chapman.
Why would anybody say that?
Said it'd be the biggest test in determining whether he can be a successful major league player. I want to see for myself how hard he can pitch. I can only be a great player if I can hit Chapman.
Well, with all due respect, you could succeed pretty well and fail against Chapman, to be quite honest.
Broken bat. Look at that, 100-mile-per-hour broken bat. Well, give Gong credit.
He started that swing early enough, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Pulled it foul at 100. That's going up on that 1 foot. And
yeah, bang. Look at that. Bring the hands in and break that bat. Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, there's a look from the Allegheny Health Network Supermo.
Remember those T-shirts? No fear. Right there.
Yeah. He was on deck in the 9th inning in Cincinnati, 3rd game of that series. Never got to face him. Good call, Steve. No fears, right. Well, 3-2.
Backed off down to double digits.
He walked him. Well, maybe Gong got the call here. Just gets a piece to the top of that zone.
Those are the ones you beg for your pitcher and hope for the best with your hitter.
So
if he's wild, it will take a while, but we could do this thing if he keeps walking everybody.
Sure.
It will take a while.
Yeah. Got all night. Ball 1. And Chapman's he slumps his shoulders, and Ted Barrett motions that pitch was in. Barrett not happy with Chapman. He was right.
And vice versa.
Yeah. And 2-0, and Chapman getting a little frustrated here. Last season, Aroldis Chapman.
He didn't want to talk to anybody about it either.
No. In 54 appearances, he walked 2 batters in an outing only 3 times all year last season.
And you do wonder in this situation when it's such a big disparity, 7-1, about intensity. I mean,
it's always been the question with closers.
Yep.
Well, that's not close. 3-0. Not close. In his career, Aroldis Chapman has walked 2 or more 24 times, and in those games his earned run average is 14.95. Sean Rodriguez will come to the plate as Brandon Phillips tries to settle down Aroldis Chapman.
He didn't want to talk to anybody.
He was really frustrated. Chapman, when he takes the mound, rarely does it take this long to get out. So he's usually in and out, and it's over. There's a strike.
Well, if they wanted to get him some work, it's happening.
And Chapman has every pitch, all 22 pitches has been his fastball. Not seeing the slider. 0-2 the count on the pinch hitter Sean Rodriguez. Talk about how fun it is, Steve, to pinch hit against a guy like Chapman.
Not.
I mean, you're sitting all day all game long. Come in cold and face a guy like Aroldis Chapman. As Rodriguez tries to battle and down on strikes, so 2 down, and it is Gregory Polanco. Polanco actually singled off Aroldis Chapman back in April. And takes ball 1.
Getting a little more rain now, but that just complicates things, trying to hit against Chapman.
A strike, and it's 1-1. The first pitch was a strike, but Chapman did not get that call. He has thrown nothing but fastballs here. And that one looked right in the zone, and Chapman really fuming now. Look at those pitches right there.
He's going to wind up throwing around 30 pitches in this inning.
Wow.
Another one.
Wow. Chapman now can't believe this.
He's smiling now. Now it seems to him like a vendetta.
Oh. Boy, if he walks in a run here, I mean, not a safe situation, but he's got a spotless ERA. He does not want to give up a run. It's 3-2.
You can't say that he's backing off.
No. That is it. Took a while, but he strikes out the side. Pirates leave them loaded, and Michael Lorenzen gets his first big league victory. His second major league start, and the Pirates have lost now 4 in a row as they collect 1 run on 3 hits against Lorenzen and 3 relievers.
Well, the beat goes on. Simple as that. And yeah, you say it's going to change. They're going to start hitting, but the reality is it wasn't tonight.
All right, let's go back out to Robin Teak.
Greg and Steve, thanks very much. We'll be rejoining Greg and Steve shortly. And Teak, you look up and you see 7 at the end of the day, but Jeff Locke battled through, and really, again, you go back to the offense, just not providing enough runs right now.
Right. I mean, Jeff did an okay job tonight. He got in trouble early, gave up a few runs. He did, was able to hang around for 7 innings, did a good job doing that. But, Steve and Greg were just saying, as long as the offense continues to produce these runs, it really doesn't matter what the pitching staff is doing. Until they can put up there and go put 4 or 5 runs up consistently day in, day out, this is the outcome we're going to see basically every night.
It's time for our T-Mobile game changer. And we're going to take a look at the Pirates defense. This was a positive tonight. They played some sloppy games on the road trip. Boy, not so tonight. Starts in the first inning. Neil Walker, and then on the other end, Pedro Alvarez, a great scoop, a terrific play on Bird, and then the 4-6-3 double play. Teak, this was an absolute beauty here.
Yeah, I was at spring training the entire time this year. That was one that was not practiced.
No, that was good stuff. And then Gahn goes home and gets Phillips. 5-2 on the putout, so that's our T-Mobile game changer. Unfortunately for the Pirates, not enough game changers. They lose by the final score of 7-1. They've dropped 4 in a row as they begin a 6-game homestand with a 7-1 defeat at the hands of the Cincinnati Reds. Coming up next on Pirates postgame presented by the Allegheny Health Network. Extended highlights and postgame reaction from this game. Analysis from Teak. More with Greg and Steve, and look forward to tomorrow night's game. All that and more coming up next.